And just another perfect day for some Angels spring training action. Cactus League, Tempe Diablo Stadium. It's your Angels hosting the San Francisco Giants. Oh, what a beautiful sight that is. So this is game 11. I'm Patrick O'Neill. I'm with my man, Jose Mota. So, Jose, here we are. Great to see you, by the way. You've seen 10 games so far of spring training and the Angels. What are your impressions? What has stood out the most to you?
Patrick, what really stands out to me is the fact that Joe Maddon's hand is all over this ball club. From the way guys are playing free, from the base running, from the defense, from the way guys are pretty much taking an additional risk on the bases, and the way he's managing also the guys and the staff from going multiple innings, more than 3 outs, getting guys up another inning to get one more batter. It's all the sign of the culture change from Perry Minasian to Joe Maddon and the players buying in and playing free baseball.
It's been some great energy, and I've loved listening to you and Gooby on the call, picking up some great info. It comes down to pitching. We know that because this lineup is stacked, and now we get to see Griffin Canning again, his second start. So what worked well for him, do you think, and what are we going to see from Griffin this afternoon?
Well, what worked for him, was the fact that he was able to, against the D-backs, establish that fastball. He struck out 5 out of the last 6 batters. But as he said, he needs to do a better job looking at one spot to throw the fastball, because to me today, it's not so much about the whiffs, the strikeouts, or swings and misses. It's about being able to get that number one, a very good pitch, 93 to 95, 96 miles an hour in good spots, and have guys not lean so much over the plate, because we know that if he sets up a fastball in a certain situation or location, it's setting up a breaking ball. So I think overall, command, control, whatever you want to call it, at number one is the most important thing for me.
Well, it sounds great to me, but here's what Griffin said he was working on after that first start.
I feel like I'll have that slider most of the time. So I know I have that in my back pocket. So I was just kind of trying to work some cutters today, and then kind of some fastballs at the top of the zone. But I mean, pretty much once you get out there, you're just competing and just being aggressive.
Okay, he's got that slider in the back pocket, but we know he has that curveball. Jose, look at this company he is in when it comes to whiff rate on the curve.
That tells you how high his baseball spins when he spins it. Now, one thing, too, is he has that power grip, that, spike grip on that breaking ball. He'll throw a slower one. So he does a lot to make sure that he offsets hitters' timings, but also, Patrick, because he's learned to separate velocity, is why he is in that good company right now.
Now, let's move on to Patrick Sandoval. Whether it's a starter or whether he's out of the bullpen, I thought it might be tough for him to make this team, but he's making a really good case, the way he has pitched so far in spring, to make this roster.
You know very well, Patrick, for young guys, it's a matter of staying on your game and in your lane. There's no doubt when he's ahead of counts and he repeats that changeup, he has a high percentage of swings and misses. For Patrick Sandoval, seems like he's been in trouble pretty much every inning he's had here so far in camp, but he's finding a way out, and I really like what catchers are doing with him in Ben Boone and Suzuki, obviously soon Max Stassi, and allowing him to believe in that changeup and repeat it. But really, again, just like with Griffin Canning, it's all set up by a very decent fastball, but nonetheless, he is making a case for himself in case the depth gets a little shorter, and knowing that, if he does not make the team as a starter, perhaps give manager Joe Maddon a chance and an option out of that bullpen. You just never know.
How about the fourth outfielder right now? There's some really intense competition right there.
Yes, guys are doing so well, and then pretty much saying, hey, every game counts. I like how the energy and the emphasis on urgency is there. Go out there. Lagares, obviously, John Jay picked it up yesterday with a long home run, and Taylor Ward, who played so well last year, has earned that opportunity too.
Okay, that sounds good. Great competition, right? That brings out the best of everybody. Jose, sit back, enjoy this game. Of course, we'll see you for our Angels Live post-game. When we come back, Terry Smith has the call, and Griffin Canning is on the hill at Tempe Diablo Stadium.
Back at Tempe Diablo Stadium, we welcome you wherever you're tuned in here to Angels Cactus League Baseball. Terry Smith with you today here on the Angels Baseball Radio Network and Fox Sports West. And the lineups for today's game look like this. For the visiting Giants, leading things off will be their designated hitter, Alex Dickerson. Batting second, the catcher, Curt Casali. Hitting third and center field, Lamont Wade. In left field, batting cleanup, Darren Ruff. Jason Vosler at first base will bat fifth. After him, Mauricio Dubon will be the shortstop, batting number 6. And the bottom third of the batting order for the visiting Giants today in right field will be Jalen Davis. He bats 7th. Playing second base, batting 8th will be Jason Rizan. And batting number 9 and playing third base will be Will Wilson. On the mound for San Francisco, Johnny Cueto, 35-year-old right-hander, 2-3 in 12 starts a year ago for San Francisco with a 5.40 ERA. And Joey Cueto, who faces the Angels here today, one of the top 2 starters really in the Giants rotation in 2021. The lineup for the Angels, and the Angels have most of the regulars in here for today's ball game as the Angels are back in Tempe. So David Fletcher will lead it off at second base. Mike Trout bats second. He's in center. Shohei Ohtani will follow. He is the Angels' designated hitter, and he bats number 3. Anthony Rendon at third base will bat cleanup. Justin Upton in left field bats number 5. Albert Pujols will play first base and bat 6. Dexter Fowler will be the right fielder for the Angels. He bats number 7. Anthony Bemboom behind the plate hits 8th. And Jose Iglesias, the Angels shortstop, will bat number 9. On the mound for the Angels, getting ready for his second start this spring, is Griffin Canning. He went 2 innings in his first start this spring, allowing 3 hits and 2 earned runs. Struck out 5 in those 2 innings, didn't walk any. But he did allow a couple of earned runs and was the losing pitcher. Numbers a little bit deceiving for Canning. He pitched pretty well in that 2-inning appearance. Umpires today, it looks like this. Calling balls and strikes is Kerwin Danley. The first base umpire is the crew chief. That's Ted Barrett. Second base umpire is Alfonso Marquez, and the umpire at third, veteran umpire Jim Wolf. We have a beautiful day for baseball. Great to have you with us here as the Angels and the Giants get ready to square off for the second and final time here in the Cactus League. Canning has the sign. Red jersey, white pants, delivers, and the first pitch, swing and a miss on a first pitch fastball. We're underway. The count 0-1. 340 down the left side. It's 360 to right, 420 out there to center. And the power alleys here at Tempe Diablo go 400 feet. Next delivery, and that's a called strike on the inside corner on Dickerson. And quickly the count jumps to 0-2. Alex Dickerson 2 for 7 this spring. He figures to be the Giants left fielder, although he's DHing today. And there's a swing and a miss, and boy, Canning wasted little time polishing up their leadoff batter. Strikes him out on 3 pitches, and that is the game's first out. Curt Casali will be the next batter. Casali's gone 2 for 6 this spring. The Angels are going to put a shift on him, left side of the infield. 3 infielders over there. 66 degrees, a little bit cooler today here in the Valley, and the game time temperature was 66. First pitch was right on time today at 12:10, and there's one in there for a strike. So Canning working at a quick pace here. Good to see, and certainly a strike thrower so far. Every pitch has been in the strike zone. Here's the 0-1 on Casali, and that's a fastball. It misses a little bit high. Griffin Canning will throw the fastball. Seen him top out at 96 in the past. Good cutter. He has the slow curve and the spike curve. It's kind of like his slider, and he also throws a changeup. And here's the 1-1, and that's a little bit low on that breaking ball. 2 balls and 1 strike. Curt Casali was with the Reds last season, and he will be in the mix as a backup catcher, it would appear, for the Giants. He swings at the next pitch, lifts a fly ball into left center field. Trout is giving way to Upton, who makes the catch in fairly shallow left center. It's Justin Upton who makes the play. At the last moment, Mike Trout peeled off. Upton was going to his left. Trout was going to his right in left center, and it was Upton who makes the grab. So a couple of easy outs. Lamont Wade will be the next batter, left-handed hitter, center fielder. Taking a extended look at him this spring. He's new to their organization, was with the Minnesota Twins a little bit last season. And the first pitch, good fastball in there for a called strike. Wade's had 3 hits, 15 at bats. One of the hits a homer. He hit just .231 last year with Minnesota. No shift on. Infielders are backed up. Rendon way off the line at third, though, and shaded towards second is the shortstop Iglesias. Next pitch, that's foul back behind the plate. So the count remains at 0-2. Defensively, the Angels look like this around the infield. Albert plays first. David Fletcher at second. Anthony Rendon at third with Jose Iglesias at short. Angels have their regular outfielders out there, and left is Upton, and center is Trout, and right is Fowler. Bim Boom catching, Shohei DHing, and Canning pitching. And that one got away. It misses high. 1-2 the count. Angels are 5-4-1 in 10 games this spring. Giants are 3-4-3 in their 10 games this spring. 1-2, way low and in. And the count 2 balls and 2 strikes. Here on this Thursday, Angels baseball, it's being brought to you by In-N-Out. That's what a hamburger is all about. So Canning is set, and his 2-2 pitch chopped on the first base side. It's a fair ball. It's fielded there by Albert. He flips to Griffin Canning, and a clean first inning as the Giants are retired. Final out on that 3-1 ground out. Half inning in the books. We're scheduled for 7 today here in Tempe. Angels and Giants scoreless on the Angels Baseball Radio Network and Fox Sports West. David Fletcher gets ready to lead it off for the Angels as we begin the bottom of the first inning. The veteran Johnny Cueto delivers, and the first pitch, that one is a little bit outside. Cueto is kind of an illusionist, if you will. You never know what you're going to get from him. He'll give you different deliveries. He'll try and quick pitch hitters. That's all part of what he does out there, as that pitch is in there for a called strike. 35-year-old right-hander. And the next pitch, and that one misses low. Cueto has won 128 games in his major league career. Career ERA 3.41. Throw a fastball, sinker, a changeup, and a curveball. He's always had that good circle change. And the next pitch, that's lined into the shallow part of left field, and it just dodges the shortstop Dubon and drops in. Boy, Dubon almost caught that one. He jumped up, good vertical leap, but just couldn't quite nab it. So that had just enough lift to clear the shortstop and bounce on out to Darren Ruff in left field. So close did Dubon come to catching that one, but David Fletcher will take it. Third hit for him this spring. Here's Mike Trout, and Trout's been kind of quiet so far this spring. You're kind of waiting for an eruption from him. 2 for 8, and the pitch, and that one on Mike. He takes it for a ball. 1 ball, no strikes. No shift on. 2 infielders on each side. Next delivery on Trout, and that missed inside. 2-0 is the count. Cueto ready. He delivers, and the next one, that's cut on, fouled off on the right side, backing out of play. Johnny Cueto is a guy who normally does a good job holding base runners. He's always had a good pickoff move. Saw the Angels play very aggressively yesterday in that game in Goodyear against the Cleveland Indians. Angels were running aggressively, not necessarily from a stolen base standpoint, but running when they had runners on base, taking extra bases. First 3 runs the Angels scored in that game yesterday all came in on non-hits, whether it was ground outs or sac flies. Here's the next pitch on Trout, and he lifts one high into left field. Going back on that one is Ruff, and it's Trout here. He hit it out. A home run for Mike Trout. We mentioned he had been kind of quiet so far this spring. He was very loud with that swing. Almost got it out to the hedges beyond the grass area where the fans are all sprawled out with their blankets watching the action. So a 2-run homer by Mike Trout, and the Angels on the scoreboard first, and here's Shohei Ohtani. Bottom of the first inning being brought to you by Rotolo Chevrolet in Fontana, the #1 Chevrolet dealer in California. Rotolo is pursuing excellence every day. You can visit them at Rotolo.com. And Shohei goes the opposite way. Lines one that's rolling down the left field side. He's headed for 2 and then jams on the brakes. He better hurry getting back to first, and he just does. Boy, that was a little bit awkward right there. Ohtani was almost halfway to second and then jammed on the brakes. And then in hustling back to first base, he was kind of stumbling a little bit, made an awkward diving slide back to the bag, although there was never a throw back to first. Shohei gets a single. It's a good play by the left fielder, Darren Ruff. And Shohei just watching that on the replay, able to hand the corner of the bag diving back there to first base. So 3 straight Angel hits to start things off against Cueto. At the plate now is Rendon, and he takes that one for ball 1. Anthony Rendon. He's had only 6 at-bats this spring, couple of hits, one of them home run. Here's Cueto's next pitch, and that one is cut on and missed. After Rendon, Justin Upton, who's enjoying a good spring. We're about a week and a half into games in the Cactus League. Upton's already hit 3 homers and had a 2-homer game a few days ago. There's a pitch that misses, 2 balls and 1 strike. Breeze picking up a little bit, blowing from right to left. Trout's home run wasn't hurt by the breeze, but it would have got out whether it was windy or not. And the pitch, and that one is fouled off over by the Giants on deck circle, third base side of home plate. This is Johnny Cueto's second start this spring. He did not allow any runs in his first start, just 1 hit in 2 innings, had 4 strikeouts. The Angels have jumped on him here in this bottom of the first. 2-0 lead, still nobody out, runner at first. Here's the next one on Rendon, that's high, and the count runs full, 3-2. Cueto, a guy certainly in the mix for the opening day assignment for the Giants this season. Kevin Gausman would be in that mix as well. Here's a lazy fly ball lifted into left center field, and under is Ruff to make the grab on that one, and that'll be the first out here in the Angels bottom of the first inning. Routine fly out. Justin Upton will be the next batter. This Giants lineup today, they have basically 2 regulars in the starting lineup. Alex Dickerson would be one, Mauricio Dubon would be the other. So they've left most of their starting players back in Scottsdale today. Here's the pitch, and Upton batting, takes the first one a little bit low, 1 ball, no strikes. Upton is 5 for 10 this spring. 3 of the 5 hits have been home runs. Driven in 5 runs and cuts at that one and misses it for strike 1. 1 ball, 1 strike. 17 pitches already for Cueto. Griffin Canning, the Angels starting pitcher, threw only 12 in the first inning, 8 for strikes. He was sharp. Canning will be working with a 2nd inning lead. See if it gets any bigger here. Here's the pitch. That's a shot down the left field side. It's going to bounce foul down in the corner. Took 1 hop and hit off the wall in foul territory. And boy, the Angels are teeing off here against Cueto. Johnny Cueto right now is not fooling any of the Angel hitters. They're making some good, hard, solid contact against him. Cueto, a two-time All-Star in his big league career. He's always been a guy that's been around the plate. Here's the 1-2 on Upton, and he takes it on the outside corner, and he struck him out looking. Cueto painting the corner there, and that's out number 2. So Albert Pujols will be the next batter. Albert's had 4 hits, 10 at-bats this spring, couple runs batted in. Had a pair of RBI singles. So a couple of veterans scoring off here. Albert, 41 years old. There he lines one down the left side, and that's going to bounce all the way to the 340 sign. Going into third base will be Ohtani. He better hurry. Here's the throw to the plate. He is out at home. Shohei tried to score all the way from first base, got waved home by Brian Butterfield, and fairly close play, but Shohei thrown out to end the inning. Albert on that one. Probably will get a double on it. He's going to get a hit either way you look at it. Angels inning ends with 2 runs, and we're headed to the second. 2-0 Halos on the Angels Baseball Radio Network. So we go to inning number 2. Angels have a 2-0 lead. Darren Ruff will lead it off against Griffin Canning, who has a couple runs of support here in the early going. Game will go 7 innings today. That's the game plan anyway, so we'll see if everyone sticks to that. First one was in there on Ruff, and Canning's 0-1. Swing and a miss. Canning has been a strike thrower here in the early going. He's thrown 14 pitches, 10 of them strikes. And he's gotten 3 of the 4 batters now down 0-2. And there's one that's a little bit low and away, just missed. 1 ball, 2 strikes. There's the 2-strike delivery on Ruff, and he swings and misses that one. Chased that pitch, and Canning has a strikeout. That's his second against the first 4 batters here today. So 1 away. This copyrighted broadcast presented by authority of Angels Baseball may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. The accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of Angels Baseball. Angels put the right side infield shift on the batter Jason Vosler. And the first pitch in there, strike 1. Vosler has had 8 hits already this spring. Good spring for the Giants. 21 times up. Foul tips that one. Right by home plate. Counts 0-2. Vosler, 27 years old. Did not see any major league action last year. And, of course, no minor league season. One time in the Cubs organization, also in the Padres system. Takes that one a little bit high. 2019 season in AAA in the San Diego organization, a 20 home run season for this lefty swinger. But the Giants on a minor league deal. Here's Canning's 1-2. It's high. 2 balls, 2 strikes. We're kind of wondering, after Mike Trout hit his home run, his first home run of the spring, whether or not his young son Beckham might be here at Tempe Diablo Stadium watching his dad. That would have been a nice moment. Not sure if the Trout family is here today. They could be. 2 balls and 2 strikes. Mike's had his young infant son out here going back to the start of spring training before the Cactus League games began. Had him in the dugout. There's one that's fouled back behind home plate, and it's 2 balls and 2 strikes. Mauricio Dubon waiting on deck. Here comes Canning's 2-2 pitch. And boy, that did not miss by much. Maybe a little low and in. So a full count, 3-2. Payoff pitch. And that was way inside and misses up and in. So a 1-out walk. First Giants base runner today. Dubon will be the batter. Griffin Canning in the 60-game season a year ago pitched 56 1/3 innings for the Angels. He had some elbow irritation last season. Still ended up making the 11 starts. Here's the pitch. And that misses a little bit high for ball one. It's 1 ball, no strikes. Opponents hit just .257 against Canning last year. He did have some command issues at times last season. In those 56+ innings last year, he walked 23. He did not issue any walks his first start this spring and misses with that one. So he's fallen behind. It's now 2-0 on Dubon. Be interesting to see what the Giants do as far as Dubon this season. When we saw the Giants in the first Cactus League game in Scottsdale, which was right at the end of last month, Dubon was playing in the infield, but their regular shortstop is Brandon Crawford, and Dubon is a guy who can also play the outfield. He very well could end up in center field for them, but he has some versatility. Play some infield and some outfield. Dave Kapler, their manager, has him playing at short today. Here's a 3-0, and that's nowhere close. So Canning, whose control was pinpoint in the first inning, now has walked back-to-back hitters here with 1 out in the second. And Jalen Davis will be the next batter. 6 straight pitches out of the strike zone, and that's why there's a little meeting going on. The Angels interim pitching coach Matt Wise out there along with the catcher Anthony Bemboom. 8 of the last 10 pitches Canning has thrown have been out of the strike zone, so some command issues, and that's why the discussion goes on out there as it now breaks up. Jalen Davis will be the batter. He was in just 4 games a year ago for the Giants. 9 at bats for in this spring. 2 hits. He's driven in a run. Right-hander against right-hander. 2-0 Angels, second inning. 2 on, 1 out. First pitch in there, a called strike. David Fletcher, the second baseman, playing fairly close to the bag over there where the lead runner gets the lead. And the 0-1 pitch bounced on a high hop foul ball on the third base side. So the count goes to no balls and 2 strikes. Angels will be right back here at Tempe Diablo Stadium tomorrow, hosting the Diamondbacks. That'll be Quintana against Gallen. Shohei Ohtani will pitch Saturday at Camelback Ranch against the White Sox. Next pitch, and that one is low. And mentioning that game tomorrow, Angels and the Arizona Diamondbacks. Angels GM Perry Manassian will join us for the broadcast, our simulcast on the Angels Baseball Radio Network and Fox Sports West. Perry will be in for the second and third inning. We'll pick his brain, get his thoughts on how the camp has gone for the Angels. Angels' new first-year general manager. Vibe has been good in camp so far this spring. 2 balls and 2 strikes to count. Canning ready, trying to get comfortable back there on the mound. Here's the 2-2, and he misses high, so 3-2. As pinpoint as he was in the first inning with his command, his control, things have gone the opposite for him here in this inning. He misses with the next pitch. That would be 3 straight batters that Canning will have walked. We'll see what gives. And the 3-2, and he got him to chase one that was in the dirt, struck him out. That's a break right there. So a couple walks and a couple strikeouts now in the inning, and Canning got some help. That was a low pitch that bounced in, and that was nowhere near the strike zone, but the batter Jalen Davis went after it, tried to hold up, and went around. So 2 outs. Jason Krazan, second baseman, will bat. He's had 3 hits, including a homer for them. Left-handed batter. He did not see any action last season. And the pitch, he misses as Canning with that one for ball 1. 1 ball, no strikes. If this inning continues, the batter waiting on deck is Will Wilson, who was the Angels' #1 draft pick in 2019. Infielder playing third base for the Giants today. Here's the delivery, and that's on the outside part of the plate. 1 ball, 1 strike to count. We get to the bottom of the second. Angels are up 2-0. Bottom third of the batting order, Fowler, Bemboom, and Iglesias against Cueto. Infield is back with 2 outs. No shift on as Krazan waits on the next delivery. Canning a peek at second. Here it comes, and he's way high and inside with that one. So Canning has been getting behind the hitters in this inning. Never a good sign. So far he has not paid for it and can get out of this inning if he retires Krazan. Mike Trout playing a very shallow center field. Fowler not very deep in right. Upton a little bit deeper in left. Here's the next pitch. High again. And now it's 3-1. Well, you'd like to see Canning fight through this inning. Obviously, things aren't in sync out there for him. 26 pitches in this inning. And here's the 3-1 delivery, and he misses way high and outside, so he's walked the bases loaded. And it'll be Will Wilson who will be stepping up. Wilson mentioned when he was waiting on deck, the Angels' top draft pick in June of 2019, and the Angels, you might recall, traded him over to the San Francisco Giants, and that was the deal where the Angels also sent Zach Cozart over there. Angels were able to dump the majority of Cozart's salary when they made that deal. Cozart never made the Giants club in spring training. First pitch in there for a called strike, 0-1 on Wilson. Wilson is only 22 years old. Been up 13 times this spring with 1 hit and 7 strikeouts, so he's struggled, and we'll see if Canning can put him away. Runners everywhere. Next pitch, and that's inside. 1 ball, 1 strike. Of course, Will Wilson has not played a whole lot of professional baseball. Drafted in June of 2019 by the Angels. Last year did not play at all. Here's the next pitch. He lines one, and that is a fair ball out of the reach of Rendon. They'll score 2 and probably 3. Runner from first being waved around as well. He'll score, and Will Wilson, former Angel first-round pick, clears the bases there with that 2-out, 3-run double. And the Giants have the lead, and Joe Madden is headed out to the mound. So we'll have a pitching change here. All 3 of the runners scored on that double by the youngster, only 22 years old, former Angel draft pick in the first round, Will Wilson. We have a break in the action. We'll let you know who's coming in when we get back. Tough inning for Griffin Canning. And now it's 3-2 Giants here in the second. Pitching change coming up on the Angels Baseball Radio Network and Fox Sports West. Ben Rowan, the Submariner, is the new pitcher for the Angels. Boy, it was a tale of 2 innings today for Griffin Canning. Couldn't have been any better in the first inning. Retired the side cleanly on 12 pitches. 8 of them were strikes. And then the second inning just lost his release point. Struggled with his command. Walked the bases loaded. And the Giants' first hit of the day brought in all 3 of those runners. The 2-out 3-run double by Wilson, who's out there at second base. So here's Rowan to take over, trying to get the final out. And the first pitch, that one is in there for a called strike. Canning right now, who has left the game, inning and 2/3 today. 1 hit, 3 walks, 3 strikeouts, 3 runs allowed. And the runner at first base is property, or second base. Here's the next pitch from the Submariner, and that one is fouled back behind the plate. Rowan is appearing in his 4th game this spring. He's worked 2 2/3 innings. No wins, no losses. ERA 6.75. This inning, when Canning was out there, it started off when he matched up against Darren Ruff, and he struck him out on 4 pitches. Canning then got ahead of the next batter, Vossler, 0-2, and then ended up walking him. And then he walked the next batter, Dubon, struck out Davis, walked Krizan, and then gave up the 3-run double. 16 of the last 24 pitches from Canning were out of the strike zone. Threw 30 pitches in the inning and was lifted here in this second. Next delivery, that's way outside. So 1 ball, 2 strikes. That outing by Canning today just kind of makes you shake your head. It's like, what happened between the first inning and the second inning? It was like a different guy on the mound. Certainly the results were different in inning number 2 for Canning. There's a swing and a miss. Frisbee pitch from the Submariner. Rowan strikes out Dickerson, and that's how the inning wins. So that's an inning where Angel pitching strikes out the side, but also walks the bases loaded and sees all 3 of them score. It's 3-2 Giants. We go to the bottom of the second here in Tempe on the Angels Baseball Radio Network and Fox Sports West. Here we go, bottom of the second, 3-2 Giants, and at the plate for the Angels is Dexter Fowler, and the first pitch taken, it's in there for strike 1. Next pitch, that was kind of a quick pitch there from Cueto. That one missed, and it's 1 ball, 1 strike. Cueto is ready, he delivers, and a swing and a miss. I'm sure Fowler and Cueto have matched up in the past. Dexter Fowler, considerable time in the National League, and Cueto's been with the Giants now for a number of years running. There's a pitch right there, a check swing. Pitch, a ball, 2-2 the count. Johnny Cueto is in the final year of his 6-year deal with the Giants. There is a club option on him for next season. You kind of wonder at this stage of his career at age 35 if the Giants will pick up that club option. Here comes the next pitch, and that's a little bit low. Angels today announced that a couple of pitchers that were in camp will be undergoing Tommy John elbow surgery. Gerardo Reyes and Brendan McCurry are each going to have that surgery performed. McCurry was in camped with the Angels, former Astros and A's minor league player who had signed a minor league deal. There's a little bounce around in front of the plate. The catcher has it, and the throw to first is just in time for Casali, nipping Fowler. That will be out number 1 here in the bottom of the second. Anthony Bemboom will be the next Angel batter. The other pitcher, Gerardo Reyes, was a pitcher that the Angels acquired during last season when they made a deal with the Padres back in August, when the Angels sent catcher Jason Castro to San Diego in exchange for Reyes. But both those pitchers in Angels camp now will be looking at the Tommy John elbow surgery. I guess it'll be performed sometime this month. Here's the 0-1 on Bemboom. Right side shift on, and he takes that one low and inside. 1 ball, 1 strike. Here's the next pitch. It's fouled off over on the left side, backing out of play. Later on in this ball game, we could see a young man on the hill for the Angels today, who Angels picked in the Rule 5 draft, and that is Jose Alberto Rivera, who has a really good arm, and the Angels have to make a decision on him this spring, having been a Rule 5 draftee. The Angels drafted him from the Houston Astros organization this past December. Anxious to see him on the mound. Very hard thrower. Here's the 2-2. It's sliced in the air in the left center field. Backpedaling now with a beat on it. Making the grab is Lamont Wade. That'll be the second out. Line out for the center fielder in left center field. And Jose Iglesias will be the next batter. In the first inning, Cueto gave up hits to the first 3 batters he faced, then got a couple hitters out, and then Albert got the double against him, but Ohtani was thrown out at the plate trying to score from first base. Here's the pitch. Iglesias drills one deep but foul down the left side, backing out of play. Jose Iglesias has been fun to watch this spring. Veteran shortstop. Angels acquired from the Baltimore Orioles during the offseason. He's had 4 hits, 12 at bats. One of the hits a homer. He's driven in 5. Next pitch, and that one is fouled off on the right side. He's also been dazzling in the field. Made a running over the shoulder grab in left center the other day, and then kind of behind the back shovel over to Justin Upton, who fired to throw to second base to double off the runner who had been on the move, thinking that ball was going to drop into left center field. Iglesias just fouled another one off on the left side. The count's no balls and 2 strikes. Here's the next pitch, and he stays alive, tipping that one foul. Iglesias last season, when he was with Baltimore, he played in 39 of their 60 games, and he hit .373. Ended up DHing a lot last season. Was bothered by some injury issues. Been healthy this spring, and he's been productive. Here's the 2-strike pitch. Lifts that one foul on the right side. It goes back and out of play. Iglesias had a left quad problem last year when he was with Baltimore. Five pitches Iglesias has fouled off in this at bat, and he takes that one, and that pitch is outside. So 1-2 is the count. Here's Cueto's next delivery, and another one fouled off by Iglesias. Fouled off a half dozen pitches here in this at bat. Not over yet. Cueto is ready, and here's the next pitch. That's a little low and inside. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Cueto, in his delivery, kind of turns his back on the hitter before throwing the pitch, and there's one that's tapped softly on the left side. Charging is the third baseman, and Wilson over there will get it to first in time to end the inning. Angels go down 1-2-3 here in the bottom of the second. Third is next. Right now, 3-2 Giants on the Angels Baseball Radio Network and Fox Sports West. As we are set to begin the third inning, look who's back on the mound. It's Griffin Canning. Angels utilizing some of the new rules for these spring training games. So Canning, who got taken out last inning, is back out on the mound to pitch the following inning. And the first delivery, that one a little bit outside. We saw Joe Madden do the same thing a couple of days ago when the Angels were playing the Brewers. It happened with Andrew Heaney. You might remember he didn't get out of the first inning. Angels went to the bullpen, and then the second inning began. Heaney was back out there, and he kind of found himself after getting the little breather, getting taken out with 2 outs in the first inning of that game on Tuesday. Canning has missed on the first 2 here, and that was the problem when he was pitching last inning. Here's the 2-0 delivery on Casale, and that misses again. It's now 3-0. Canning has just not been able to repeat his pitches here. And here's the 3-0. And he had the green light, did Casale. Fouls that one off on the right side, backing out of play. Ben Rowan, who replaced Canning last inning, retired the only batter that he faced, and he got the strikeout for the final out. Here's the 3-1, swing and a miss, like a high fastball, and Casale went after it, so the count goes full, 3-2. Casale flied out his first time up. That was in the top of the first. Here comes the 3-2 payoff. Grounded foul over on the left side. That first inning today, Canning threw 12 pitches, 8 were strikes. Last inning, after he was taken out, he ended up throwing 30 pitches, and 17 were out of the strike zone. Here's the next one. This is bounce foul again, so long at bat for Casale, as the count is holding at 3 balls and 2 strikes. Curt Casale, a .230 career hitter. Next delivery, and boy, that one just missed outside. Kerwin Danley's had a little bit of a tight zone today, but for the most part, going back to last inning, large majority of those pitches that Canning threw that were called balls, those were the right calls. That last one there in the 3-2, I guess if you're a guy having trouble throwing strikes, some issues with your command, you're not going to get those borderline pitches from the home plate umpire. So the 4th walk given up by Canning today. And here is Lamont Wade, and the first pitch on him. That one pitch that misses for a ball. Angel fans, don't forget, we want you to catch all the action by following the Angels on Fox Sports West. Tuning in on the Angels Baseball Radio Network for pregame, in-game, and post-game coverage. Visit Angels.com for details. Next delivery. That's low. And again, Canning behind right away against another hitter. Angels do have action in the bullpen. So Canning's on a tightrope right now. Here's the next pitch. It's fouled off just to our left, backing out of play. 2 balls and 1 strike. Looks like Denny Brady is up in the Angels bullpen right now. See what happens on the next delivery. Here it comes, and that's low. And the count goes to 3-1. Let's pause for stations to identify themselves on the Angels Baseball Radio Network and Fox Sports West. Griffin Canning trying to get a pitch over the plate, and there's one that's popped in the air, foul on the first base side. Albert didn't see it at first. He's over by the Angels dugout, but that's going to land a couple rows back behind the dugout, out of play. Angels owner Artie Moreno here today, watching the Angels from first row, very close to the Angels dugout on that first base side. Artie's been here checking out the Angels for the home games. We've seen him on the road this spring for some action away from Tempe Diablo Stadium. There goes the runner at first. 3-2 pitch. Another one fouled back. So the batter Lamont Wade Jr. hanging in there. He bounced out on the right side of the infield his first time up. So Canning has a new baseball, and he'll deliver another 3-2 pitch. It's on its way. It's a little flare in the right field. It's going to drop in for a base hit. Fowler quickly brings the ball back to the infield, and I think that's going to be it for Griffin Canning as Joe Maddon is headed out to the mound, and Canning's day will end. Well, they were hoping that Canning might find himself here in this third inning, but he was only able to face 2 batters and failed to retire either one. Throws 15 pitches here and is lifted for the second time in this game. So we'll have a pitching change. Mentioned Denny Brady was warming up. Looks like he's going to trot in from the Angel bullpen. We'll take a break. We get back. Giants still batting and leading the Angels at the moment here in the third. 3-2 on the Angels Baseball Radio Network and Fox Sports West. Denny Brady, a right-hander, is the new pitcher. This will be his 3rd appearance this spring. No wins, no losses. ERA 3.86. We're 2 1/3 innings today for the Angels. So Darren Ruff, veteran batter, 34 years old, digs in. Ruff struck out last inning. And here's Brady's first pitch, and that's right in there for a called strike. 0-1 is the count. Angels have had some looks at Brady this spring, trying to get on the radar screen here in Angel camp in 2021. Here's the next one on Ruff, and this is hit high in the air. This ball's carrying deep out into left center field, out by the warning track under. Making the grab is Upton, and the runners have to hold. Well, wind not blowing right now, so that was lucky for Brady, as that one stayed in the ballpark. It still sent Upton close to the wall. He was on the track for that long fly out in left center. That's the first out. So Griffin Canning, who leaves the ball game, ended up going an inning and 2/3 today, and he threw 57 pitches in less than 2 innings. He gave up 2 hits, 3 runs, 2 on bases property, walked 4, struck out 3. Do not expect to see him back for another start of an inning, although I guess if Joe Maddon wanted to do it, he could do it. Pitches in there on Vosler for a strike. 0-1 is the count. Brady is set. And the next pitch. And that one pitch that evens up the count. 1 ball, 1 strike. Denny Brady, non-roster invitee to the Angels camp. New Jersey native. There's a pitch that misses again. It's 2 balls and 1 strike. Brady fastball about 96 where he tops out. That's a good curveball. Slider doesn't throw that pitch much. Has a changeup. And the next delivery, that one is low. A snap throw by Bemboom to first. Runner dives back to the bag. So Brady's behind against his second hitter since coming in. It's now 3 balls and 1 strike. '24-year-old right-hander Denny Brady, who has not pitched above A ball since signing with the Angels, and there's one in there for a called strike. First year when Brady was in rookie ball, he was strictly a reliever. Last couple seasons that he's been in the Angels system, mostly a starter. Here's the 3-2 payoff, and that is a called third strike. So out looking is Vossler. Second out. Mauricio Dubon will be the next batter. He's walked and scored. The Angels bat in the bottom of the third at the moment, trailing 3-2. Top of the batting order, Fletcher, Trout, and Ohtani against Cueto. The bullpen is quiet for the Giants. Brady's first pitch, and there's a swing and a miss. Denny Brady with the long locks out there. Kind of reminds you a little bit of Dylan Peters, his look. Angel lefty pitcher. Brady a little bit taller and a right-hander, but both have the long hair. And here's the pitch. That's outside. It misses. Count even. It's 1 ball, 1 strike. Player who figures to see a lot of action for the Giants. In fact, they signed him to a 3-year deal this offseason. We didn't see him in the spring training opener against the Giants in Scottsdale. He's not on their travel squad today, but he'll be playing a lot of infield for them. Is former Angel Tommy La Stella. Signed a 3-year deal this offseason with the Giants. Stella with the Angels this time last year. You might recall the Angels traded him over to the Oakland A's near the trading deadline. Stella ended up hitting .281 last year. The year before that, of course, he had the injury issue that had him sidelined with the Angels, but he was an all-star in 2019 with the Halos. 2-2 now on Dubon. Tommy La Stella had the tibia fracture, you might recall, back in July of 2019. He attended the All-Star game but was on crutches. Here's the next pitch. Grounded on the right side. That one scooped up nicely by the Angels second baseman David Fletcher. He'll throw out Dubon, and the inning comes to an end. So Brady comes in, retires all 3 batters that he faces in relief of Griffin Canning. No scoring by the Giants in the bottom of the third as it's getting ready to come up for the Angels. It's still 3-2 San Francisco on the Angels Baseball Radio Network. Top of the batting order, David Fletcher leads off the Angels bottom of the third. It's 3-2 Giants, and Fletcher taking from Cueto. Pitch was in there. No balls and 1 strike. David Fletcher singled and scored on Mike Trout's first inning home run. Trout waiting on deck. That's low and away. The count's 1 ball, 1 strike. Here's the next pitch. And that one is outside. 2 balls and 1 strike. Here's Cueto's next delivery. Fletcher takes inside, and Johnny Cueto falls behind. 3 balls, 1 strike. Cueto does not waste time. He delivers, and Fletcher thought that pitch missed, but it's a called strike, so the count runs full. David Fletcher is about ready to drop the bat. Trot to first base, thinking he had a walk. Call doesn't go that way. Next pitch, this is hit sharply, but right near the second baseman. It's gobbled up there by Rizan, and he throws out Fletcher. Mike Trout will be the next batter. Angel fans that are here today, and again, limited capacity. They were treated to a Trout home run, his first of the spring. And he hit it deep out to left center field. So now Cueto, who's normally a quick worker, Trout has to chuckle right there, because Johnny Cueto, I mentioned how fast he works. He was just staring in at the plate, and Trout ended up backing out. Here's the pitch, and that's right in there. He's the illusionist, Johnny Cueto. You never know what he's going to pull out of his bag of tricks out there on the mound. Trying to slow pitch Trout. And there's one that's outside, 1-1. Trout's reaction there was priceless. He had to step out of the box because he was laughing. Cueto's ready, and the next pitch. Trout fouls that one off the screen. Ball lands in the Angels dugout on the first base side. Johnny Cueto's first year with the Giants, 2016. He joined the Giants really after their run of World Series titles. They had that stretch where they won 3 World Series in a 5-year period. It's interesting to note as Trout fouls that one back. Buster Posey, Brandon Crawford, and Brandon Belt are the only players remaining from the Giants' last World Series winning team in 2014. Trout checks. Did that one get in there? It did. Trout a strikeout victim on that check swing. The first base umpire, Ted Barrett, ringing up Mike Trout. So that's out number 2 in the inning. And for Cueto, that's also strikeout number 2 for him. There's Shohei getting ready to bat. Ohtani's had another hit today, and his bat has been sizzling this spring. 6 for 11 with a home run, and the ball he hit over the batter's eye here at Tempe Diablo Stadium that carried almost 470 feet. Here's the next pitch, and that one fouled back. This matchup against Ohtani, Cueto kind of hesitating as far as releasing the ball. He gives you a lot of looks out there. There's no doubt about it. Been doing it for quite some time. 35 years old. Pitched in the big leagues going back to 2008. 1 ball, 1 strike. Here's the next pitch from Cueto, and that's outside. 2-1. Umpires have kind of shifted around this inning. Ted Barrett's now over at third base. He began the game as the first base umpire. And looks like it's Alfonso Marquez who's over there at first base now. Here's the next delivery. Grounded sharply on the left side. Stopped on the outfield grass by Dubon. The throw to first late. And Shohei has another hit. That's an infield single. Wait, Shohei Ohtani right there showing another aspect of his game. He can hit for power. He might be the fastest runner on the Angels roster as far as guys that figure to be on the opening day roster as he legs out an infield hit. Now a quick little meeting at the mound. Giants starting to get a little action in the bullpen now. Ohtani's 2 hits here in the first 3 innings. The liner into left and the infield single on the left side of the infield. So not trying to pull everything, which is another good sign. That became a problem for Ohtani last year. And one of the reasons why the strikeouts appeared, and Ohtani struggled a year ago, hitting under 200. Here's Rendon batting, and he swings and lifts a high one out there into left field. A few feet from the rim of the track. Under making the catch is Darren Ruff. And the inning comes to an end. Angels leave a runner on. 3 in the books. The 4th is coming up. We're scheduled for 7. And right now the Giants lead the Angels 3-2 on the Angels Baseball Radio Network and Fox Sports West. Angels closer Raisel Iglesias will take over. And he will become the 4th Angel pitcher of the day.
Number 49, Jaylin Davis.
So the first batter up for the Giants will be Jaylin Davis, as they will send the bottom third of their batting order to the plate. Iglesias appearing in his 3rd game. No wins, no losses. ERA 4.50. He's worked a couple of innings so far this spring. First pitch, that's chased and missed. Strike 1. Iglesias was saying today how comfortable he's become in Angel camp. Next pitch, that's fouled off on the right side, backing out of play. Raisel Iglesias and the New Angel shortstop Jose Iglesias were former teammates with the Reds a couple years ago. They're not related, but they are familiar with each other, former teammates, so that made for a bit of a comfortable situation for both of them coming to the Angels. Now teammates with the Halos. 2-strike delivery was chased, and Jaylin Davis is retired for the first out. Raisel Iglesias replacing Denny Brady. He retired all 3 that he faced in relief of Griffin Canning. And with the clean inning for Brady, also had a strikeout. Here's Jason Crizan at the plate, lefty batter. First pitch, a ball, 1 ball, no strikes. Iglesias was saying today that he doesn't mind going more than an inning in closing situations. He's done that before. He was a starting pitcher initially with the Cincinnati Reds. In fact, he was an opening day starter for them back in 2016, 5 seasons ago. Pitch missed for a ball. 2 balls and 1 strike. Fastball, sinker, slider, and changeup. Fastball and slider, his best 2 pitches. That one's lined on a 2-1 delivery into right. That's going to fall in for a hit. So on is Crizan, and the batter will be Will Wilson. Angel fans, don't forget the Angels team store is available to order via phone or email. Buy hats, shirts, bags, and other items. Just call 714-940-2618 or email LAAteamstore@legends.net. There's a pitch that is taken for a ball. Will Wilson has the big hit for the Reds, the former Angels farmhand. He had a bases clearing 3-run double off of Griffin Canning in the top of the 2nd. There's a pitch that misses low. After that hit, Canning was taken out. Rowan got the final out in the 2nd. Canning was back out to pitch where the Angels last inning walked the first batter he faced, gave up a hit to the next batter, and then he was taken out again. Here's the next delivery. That's right in there for a called strike. Iglesias delivers, and there's a lazy fly ball hit to center field. Not very deep. Mike Trout backpedals a few feet, makes the catch on that one. And that'll be the second out. Alex Dickerson will be the next batter. Dickerson today, a couple of strikeouts. He's already facing his third different Angel pitcher in this game. Their leadoff man, he struck out against Canning in the first, against Rowan in the second, and now he faces Iglesias here in the fourth. Right side infield shift on. Left-handed batter batting. Pitch was low. It skipped away from Bemboom, but he quickly recovers. No advancement by Krazan, that base runner, with 2 outs over at first base. Raisel Iglesias with the next pitch. Lifted foul on the left side. That's going to push back and get out of play. Angels will play the Giants during the regular season at the Big A and also in San Francisco. It's a pickoff toss over to first base, and the runner dives back to the bag. Here's the next delivery, and that one is taken, and it misses. 2 balls and 1 strike to count. Angels will be in San Francisco for the wrap-up of the month of May on the 31st, and will also play the Giants on June the 1st, and then the Angels will end up hosting the Giants 2-game series later on in June on the 22nd and 23rd. 2 teams met last year in the regular season as well. Giants won 3 of the 4 games. So 3 balls and 1 strike on Dickerson. The next delivery, it's fouled back. It's almost hard to believe that Oracle Park, the home of the Giants, of course, it replaced Candlestick Park, and it was originally known as AT&T Park. That ballpark hosting the Giants when the 2021 regular season begins. That'll be the 21st year that stadium's been open. That's hard to believe. There's one fouled back behind the plate and out of play. In a ballpark in the past, tough to get the ball out at the McCovey Cove, out behind the stadium in right center field. They've moved the fences in to maybe help the hitters a little bit more. They did that last season, brought the right field and right center field fences in. 3 balls and 2 strikes. And the Giants were a club a year ago. They ended up 2 games under 500. They were in the playoff hunt for a while in the National League. Feeling a little bit better about the direction this team is headed. They had that great run where they won the 3 World Series titles, capturing a World Series in 2010, and then 2 years later in 2012, and then 2 more years later in 2014. But things have gone a little dry from the success standpoint since winning their last World Series. And there's a pitch that misses low, and that's going to be ball 4. So the second walk in the inning here by Iglesias. Walks have been an issue for Angels pitching here in this game. It's already 6 allowed today, and we're only in the top of the 4th. Angels have some action in the bullpen. Looks like a right-hander just starting to get loose. So here's Curt Casale, their catcher today. He's had a walk and a fly out. And the pitch. That's taken for a called strike. Here's Iglesias with the next delivery. It's another fly ball hit the center field. It should be a routine play for Trout. He's in shallow center. He's waiting. He'll squeeze it, and that is how the inning will end. Iglesias has a scoreless inning. He did walk a pair and also had a strikeout. His day is likely over. We're headed to the bottom of the fourth, scheduled for 7. Angels down by a run, 3-2 Giants the score on the Angels Baseball Radio Network and Fox Sports West. So the Angels get ready to bat as we go to the bottom of the fourth. We do have a new battery in the game for the Giants. New catcher is Joey Bart, and the new pitcher is Zach Littell. And they also have a new right fielder, Joe McCarthy. We'll check and see if they've made any other moves. Here's the first one from Littell, and that's fouled off on the right side by Justin Upton out of play. So Johnny Cueto's day is over. Angels got to him right out of the blocks today in that first inning, but then Cueto seemed to settle into a rhythm. Went 3 innings, gave up 4 hits, 2 runs earned, gave up the 2-run homer to Trout as Upton fouls that one back to the screen. 0-2. A couple strikeouts for Cueto. Did not walk any. And so he gives way to Zach Littell, who was with the Minnesota Twins a little bit last season. Here's the next pitch, and that misses low. 1-2 the count. Littell had some elbow issues. Angels actually saw him in the first Cactus League game against the Giants in Scottsdale. Remember talking about a phenomenal season he had in the minors just a few years ago when he was in both the Yankees and Twins organization. He was 19-1 in the minors back in 2017, which is, you look at that, you can't believe that a guy would have that kind of a record, but he did. And he kind of put himself on the radar screen. Hasn't enjoyed that type of success at the major league level. There's a pitch that misses high, and it's now 2-2. Big right-hander, goes 6'4", 220. Last year with Minnesota, in the 6 games he appeared in relief, he gave up 5 home run balls in 6 1/3 innings, so he got knocked around. 2-2 pitch. Upton lays off one a little bit low, so it's a full count. Littell fastball, top out around 96, and he throws a cutter. He also has a changeup that he rarely uses, so pretty much a 2-pitch pitcher. And here's his next pitch. That one there missed outside, borderline pitch. Zone a little bit tight today. Kerwin Danley calling balls and strikes. Upton is on. Leadoff walk. And here's Albert getting ready to bat. Albert got a double his first time up. I guess that's the way they ended up scoring that. Didn't hear anything officially. That was on the ball that he hit down the left side that Ohtani tried to score all the way from first base on and was gunned down at the plate. Toss over to first. Upton diving back to the bag. We're in the bottom of the 4th inning. Angels down by a run, 3-2. Littell set, and the next pitch. A little bit inside, he misses. 1 ball, no strikes. I want to remind you tomorrow on our simulcast on both the Angels Baseball Radio Network and Fox Sports West, new Angels GM Perry Manassian will be with me for a couple of innings. He'll be in for the second and third innings, and we'll get a chance to get his take on what he's seen so far this spring. Looking forward to visiting with Perry before the ball game. Spent a little bit of time with him the other day when the Angels were on the road. And here's the pitch, and that one is right in there for a called strike. Albert digging in. Right-hander against right-hander. No shift on. A lot of times we'll see three infielders on that left side against Albert, who was fooled on that pitch right there. Did not get a good swing off at that one. As Littell came in with that cutter right there. It's 1-2 on Albert. Upton getting a decent lead off the bag at first base. In a toss over there, and he dives back to the bag safely. Here's Littell's delivery on Albert. He lines one in the gap into right center field, and that's going to fall in for a base hit. Upton's already headed for third. The ball kind of bounces around out on the warning track, so Upton's going to score, and Albert has another double for the Angels, and that ties up the game at 3. RBI for Albert, and Upton scores all the way from first base on that one. After that ball split Lamont Wade, the center fielder, and Joe McCarthy, the new right fielder. Ball kind of kicked around a little bit out there as it bounced off the glove of McCarthy and then fell out onto the warning track. So 3-3 the score. We're going to have to update the scoreboard right there. They've slated the Angels a run. Got to get that squared away. And here's the pitch, and Fowler fouls that one off on the right side. Dexter Fowler today chopped the ball out in front of the plate. They threw him out at first base. Hit could give the Angels the lead. Now Littell wants to have a word with the catcher Joey Bart, so they were going to meet out on the pitcher's mound. Angels and Diamondbacks here tomorrow at Tempe Diablo. Quintana against Gallen. Be interesting to see if the Angels get any base runners on tomorrow with Gallen pitching, because he's a guy that just loves to throw to first base more than any pitcher in the game, trying to keep runners close. So not the quickest worker on the block by any stretch. The Angels get base runners at first. They're going to see some tosses over there, I guarantee you. Here's the next pitch. That's lifted high in the air into right field. That ball's carrying out into right field, and that ball is gone in right field. Dexter Fowler hits a home run. A 2-run shot. Angels regain the lead as Fowler hits his first home run this spring. So some of the veterans here in the inning. Albert with the RBI double to tie it. Fowler with the 2-run homer to give the Angels the lead in the ball game, and the Halos up 5-3. So here is Anthony Bimboom at the plate. And the pitch, he smacks one into center field. Going back and reaching up to make the catch on that one is Wade out there in center field. That ball was hit right on the button, but loud out off the bat of Anthony Bimboom. Jose Iglesias, the next batter. Here's the pitch. That one is in there for a called strike. There's Iglesias fouling one off. His first at bat, which ended in a ground out to third against the starter Johnny Cueto. He fouled off a good half dozen or more pitches in that at bat. So 2 strikes is the count. And here's the next delivery. And that one is low. It skipped away from the catcher, but nobody on base. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Here's the next delivery. A little chopper to the right of the mound, right out to the second baseman, and the throw is just in time. Boy, Jose Iglesias was motoring up that first base side. Very close play to get him over there at second. Throw by the second baseman, getting Iglesias, and 2 outs in the inning now. David Fletcher getting ready to bat. See if this might be his final at bat today. And the pitch. That one taken for a ball. 1 ball, no strikes. Angels came into this bottom of the 4th inning trailing 3-2. Scored 3. Have a 5-3 lead now. Pitch is right in there for a called strike. Beautiful day today in the Valley. They're expecting some rain tomorrow. I don't know that it's going to affect the game. It should be in the early morning, maybe even overnight. But we should be in pretty good shape for baseball tomorrow, even though some rain in the forecast here in the Valley. Trout would be up next if the inning continues. Fletcher awaits the next pitch. Here it comes, and swings at that one, fouls it back. Littell has thrown his share of pitches here in this inning, as he is now facing his 6th batter in the inning. So the right-hander ready. It's a 2-2 count on David Fletcher, who hits one sharply and through into left center field. Umpire Jim Wolf had to dodge that one out there. That was headed right at him, and he kind of jumped in the air to let the ball go between his legs. Fletcher has a hit. 2nd one for David today. Mike Trout will be the next batter. 7th batter in the inning. Trout has hit one out, and he's also struck out. And a high pickoff toss. Fletcher diving back to the bag in time. Giants have some action in their bullpen. Mike Trout batting against Zach Littell. Here's his pitch, and that's low. 1 ball, no strikes. It's like Daniel Alvarez is the pitcher who's up for the Giants in their bullpen. Littell now ready. He delivers on Mike Trout. That one inside. It misses. 2-0. Angels have had a pair of home runs in this game. Trout with 1. Fowler with 1. Next pitch. Trout chops one on a hop to the third baseman. Wilson has it. His throw is in time, and that is how the inning will end. But a good inning for the Angels. 3 spot here in the inning, and we are headed to the 5th. We're scheduled for 7. It's 5-3 Angels on the Angels Baseball Radio Network and Fox Sports West. Angels make a bunch of changes up the middle. The new battery for the Angels, Mike Myers on the mound. Juan Graterol is the new catcher. Angels have a new middle infield. Shortstop is Jack Mayfield. And we see at second base, Jose Rojas. Haven't seen him at that spot before, so he's playing some second. Seen him at first, third, in the outfield. Now today at second base. And there's the pitch that's taken for ball 1. The count 1 ball, no strikes. And Joe Adell is the new Angel center fielder. Mike Trout's day is done. There's a pitch that misses from Myers for a ball. 2 balls and no strikes. Myers is ready, and here's the next delivery. That one misses outside for a ball. Last time we saw Mike Myers on the mound, he struggled for the Angels. This is his 3rd appearance, and he has a 1-1 record. He's had a decision in each of his 2 appearances. His ERA this spring is 45.00. And that was as a result of that last time that he pitched for the Angels. That was against the Rockies here at Tempe Diablo Stadium. It was the game on Saturday, and Myers did not retire anyone. Gave up a homer, 4 hits and 5 runs, walked a batter in a rough outing. So he's worked a full count here on Wade. And here's the next pitch, and that is in there, and the hitter knew it. Struck him out looking. Wade is retired. Myers off to a good start here today. Angels Baseball Foundation stays involved by supporting education, food drives, and youth programs throughout the community. Visit angels.com/community for details. Myers taking over for Raisel Iglesias, who worked last inning. Iglesias hitless and scoreless inning, although he walked 2. He also picked up 1 strikeout. And like Myers, who's out there on the mound for the Angels, pitcher number 5 today. Next delivery, that's in there. A couple of strikes he's pumped in here against Darren Ruff. Angels leading 5-3 as we have the 5th inning underway. And the next pitch, that's a shot on the right side out of the reach of Rojas, the second baseman. It'll roll out into right center, where Adell will throw the ball back to second base. So stepping up now for San Francisco will be Jason Vosler. Vosler is 0 for 1. He has a walk. He has scored a run. He's also struck out. Right-hander Myers ready, facing the lefty batter, and a check swing, a little tapper foul right by the plate. So around the infield, Angels still have Albert over there at first base. Jose Rojas at second. Third baseman for the Angels is Anthony Rendon. New shortstop is Jake Mayfield. He's on the right side. There's a shift on, and there's one a little bit low. 1 ball, 1 strike. Upton is still in left field. Adell's out there in center. Fowler still in right. Gratterall catching. Myers taking a little time between pitches and now begins to get set on the rubber, looking in for the sign. Right-hander ready, delivers, and way high and outside with that pitch. And Gratterall's going to go out and have a word with Mike Myers. Mentioned Myers, that last outing he had against the Rockies here on Saturday. Like to see him bounce back from that one. Quick little meeting between pitcher and catcher, and Myers headed back on the mound to get the sign. Mike Myers was about as pleasant as a surprise as anyone on the Angel roster a year ago. Here's the pitch, and that's a little bit low. It misses for a ball. Myers was in almost half of the Angel games last season, 29 of the 60. And he was outstanding a year ago. Opponents hit 162 against him. His ERA was 2.10. Here's the 3-1. That's taken for a called strike, and now the count runs full. And the real turnaround for Myers last year was the development of that cutter, that cut fastball pitch that he added last season. Counts full, and too much time by Myers for the liking of the batter Vossler, and he gets time from the home plate umpire Kerwin Danley. Now Myers is set. That shift still on the right side of the infield. And here's the pitch on its way. That one is chased and missed, and he got him right there with that cutter. Struck him out. So both outs in the inning for Myers have come on the strikeout. Angels pitching overall today now with 8 strikeouts in the game. And we'll see how things go in this matchup here as Dubon, who's 0 for 1 with a walk, gets ready to face Myers, right-hander against right-hander. First pitch hit off the plate. It's a fair ball over by third. Barehanded by Rendon. Throws late to first base. Close play over there. So that'll be an infield hit. Anthony Rendon did everything he possibly could on that one. Fielded the ball with his bare hand, and the throw just a little bit late, trying to nip the batter Dubon at first base. So they have a pair on with 2 outs. Jalen Davis spot in the batting order, and the guy that's come in to replace him, Joe McCarthy, will bat for the first time today. Runners at first and second. The pitch, and that one pitched for a ball. 1 ball, no strikes. Joe McCarthy was in 4 games for the Giants a year ago, formerly in the Tampa Bay organization. Pitch he takes, lefty batter, and that one misses, ball 2. 2-0 the count. Kind of sense Myers trying to get into a little rhythm out there on the mound. He stepped off the mound a couple of times already. Had the meeting with Gratterall in this inning as well. He's set. Here's the 2-0. It's a fly ball lifted into center field. Joe Adell is battling the sun out there. He's under, and he will make the catch, and the inning is over. That'll do it for the Giants. They leave a couple runners on base. They've done that 3 different innings today. They've stranded 7. Bottom of the 5th coming up. Angels have a 5-3 lead on the Angels Baseball Radio Network and Fox Sports West. Angels ready to bat. Bottom of the 5th inning. New pitcher for San Francisco. His name is Junior Marte. Shohei Ohtani will be the first batter to face the right-hander. Steven Duggar has come in to take over in center field, so he replaces their starting center fielder, Lamont Wade. And those are the 2 changes for the Giants here in the inning. First pitch from Marte, and that one is ball 1 on Shohei Ohtani. Shohei this afternoon, a couple of singles, and he drives that one, hits it hard out into left center field, and running that ball down is Duggar out there, the new center fielder. Boy, he got tested right out of the blocks right there. Steven Duggar, nice running catch. Shohei hits another ball right on the button right there. But this time he's retired for the first time this afternoon. 1 gone. Anthony Rendon will be the batter. Let's pause for stations to identify themselves on the Angels Baseball Radio Network and Fox Sports West. First pitch chased and missed by Rendon for strike 1. Mentioning that out off the bat, Shohei, nice running catch by Duggar out in deep left center field. All 3 of Shohei's at bats today hit the ball to the opposite field. That's a very good sign. Here's the pitch. It's a hard hit ground ball hit to Will Wilson, the third baseman, and Rendon is out. So the 2 Angel batters here have hit the ball right on the screws, and nothing to show for it. A liner to left center, the hard hit ground ball to third, and Justin Upton will be the next batter. Probably Upton's final at bat today, and same could be said for Shohei and Rendon as well. 2 up, 2 away, although the ball's been hit sharply in the inning and the pitch. And first one is blown away on Justin Upton. Strikeout and a walk is 2 times up. Junior Marte delivers, and there's a swing and a miss. Chased a breaking ball. 1 ball, 1 strike. Zach Littell, who worked last inning for San Francisco, gave up 3 hits, 3 runs. They were earned. Walked a batter, didn't strike out any, and he gave up a home run. Homer to Dexter Fowler. Here's the pitch. That's low and inside. It misses. Two balls and 1 strike to count. There's the next pitch, and that's another pitch low and away, chased and missed. So a couple strikes here on Justin Upton. 2-2 is the count. There's the next delivery, and that's a little bit low, and it misses ball 3. So full count, 3 balls and 2 strikes. Marte stretching the glove high above his head before coming in with the pitch, and that one is tipped foul right by home. So it's still 3 balls and 2 strikes. And now we'll see what happens on another payoff pitch. It's on its way, and it's fouled back behind the plate. Still 3-2 on Upton. Albert Pujols would be up next if the inning stays alive. Albert's had a pair of hits today. RBI and a run scored for Albert. He's having a good spring, Albert. Here's the next pitch. And again, it's fouled back behind the plate. Don't forget, tomorrow when the Angels are back in action here at Tempe Diablo hosting the Arizona Diamondbacks, we'll have Angels general manager Perry Manassian on the broadcast for a couple of innings, the second and third innings tomorrow, and get his perspective on the Angels camp. Looking forward to that visit tomorrow during our broadcast. And here's the next pitch, and that is inside. Upton ends up throwing a walk. Second one he's had today. Albert will get his third at bat this afternoon, looking for a 3-hit day. Looks like the Angels are going to have a pinch runner come in for Justin Upton. So Upton now officially out of this ball game, 0 for 1 today. He'll be replaced out there in left field as well. It's like Matt Thaiss has come in to run for Upton. And we'll see if Thaiss stays in the game in the outfield. Pitch on Albert. That's a off-speed delivery in there for a called strike. Junior Marte is ready. Again, stretches that glove high above his head before getting ready to come in with the pitch. Pauses, now delivers, and there's one that's lined right up the middle, and Albert's got a 3-hit day. Thaiss will make a turn at second and hold there. So Albert's day figures to come to an end. Albert has now had 7 hits this spring and 13 times up, so he's hitting over 500 this spring. Phil Gosselin will run for Albert. Dexter Fowler now getting ready to bat. This figures to be his last time up today. Fowler a 2-run homer and 2 times up. Angels have a 5-3 lead. Fowler, tired of waiting, backs out of the box. Bullpen is quiet for the Giants. This is only the second time the Angels have had an at-bat with runners in scoring position today. And the other time was when Fowler batted and hit the 2-run homer. So he goes after that pitch, fouls it back. Oh, and 1 is the count. Marte taking some extra time between pitches now. Juan Gratterall would be up next. He's yet the bat since coming in, taking over for Bemboom behind the plate. Fowler swings at that one, fouls it back to the screen right in front of us. So the count goes to 0-2. Angels up by a pair, trying to string a couple of victories together. The Angels have not had back-to-back wins so far this spring, even though the club has a winning record overall. Here's the pitch. That's a little bit low. It misses on Dexter Fowler, so it's 1 ball and 2 strikes. seeing that game tomorrow with the Angels hosting the Diamondbacks here at Tempe Diablo. Now Joe Maddon decides to go with his lineup, if he'll stick with the regulars like he had them in the lineup here today. Most of the Angel regulars in the starting lineup. A ball and 2 strikes to count here on Fowler as he awaits the next delivery, and it's on its way, and that is a called third strike, and out looking is Fowler, and that's how the inning will end. Angels leave a pair of runners on base. We are moving to inning number 6, scheduled for 7. It's 5-3 Angels on the Angels Baseball Radio Network and Fox Sports West.
California.
New pitcher for the Angels is Jake Faria. He replaces Mike Myers, and Faria will be pitcher number 6 today for the Halos. Myers ended up pitching a scoreless inning, although he gave up a pair of hits. He also struck out a pair. So Faria's first delivery, and that one misses ball 1 on the leadoff man in the inning, Jason Krazan. He's walked twice today. And here's the pitch. That one misses for a ball. Two balls and no strikes. Faria has looked good in the times we've seen him this spring. This is his 4th appearance on that one, right in there. ERA is 2.08 for the right-hander, trying to win a spot in the Angels bullpen. He's worked 4 1/3 innings so far this spring. And here comes the next pitch. Lifted in the air to left field. Matt Thaiss is out there now. He comes in and makes a little kind of a hook sliding catch towards the line and medium left field. That'll be the first out. Will Wilson will be the next batter. He's had a 3-run double and a flyout. Rest of the changes for the Angels. Phil Gosselin is now playing in right field for the Angels. The new third baseman is Franklin Barreto. We mentioned Thaiss in left, just made that catch for the first out. And Jordan Adams has come in to play right field. No balls, 1 strike to count. Faria's delivery, and that one gets a piece of the batter Wilson. He is hit by the pitch. Came in a little bit too much inside on that one. And just barely got the front of his jersey right there. I don't know if he ever felt that ball hit him. It might have been just the uniform that he hit. So we're going to have a pinch hitter here, and the first delivery, that one is right in there for a called strike. Ricardo Hanovis is the pinch hitter. He's batting for Alex Dickerson. Dickerson went 0 for 2 with a walk, pickoff toss to first, and Wilson back to the bag. Faria is ready, and he delivers. And Ovis taking that one, and it missed for a ball. 1 ball, 1 strike. Jake Faria, when he was a youngster growing up, not all that far away from the Big A, huge Angels fan. His family had the partial season tickets. There's a pitch that comes in and pops off the mitt of the catcher Gratterall, and moving up to second base will be the base runner Will Wilson. Figures to be a pass ball to advance the runner there. They're going to give him a stolen base apparently on that one. I guess he was on the move. So 2-1 to count. Faria ready. Here's the next pitch, and that's low and outside. He's fallen behind 3-1. Jake Faria in Angel camp wearing the number 36 on his Angel uniform. He was a big Jared Weaver fan growing up, and that was Jared Weaver's uniform with the Angels. His number. Here's the pitch. Swing and a miss at that 3-1, so it's a full count. 3 balls and 2 strikes. Faria fastball, slider, curve, and changeup. Fastball top out around 94. Changeup a big pitch for him. See what happens on the 3-2. Faria's ready. There goes the runner again, and the pitch is fouled back. So Will Wilson, former Angel first-round pick, very active here today playing against the Angels. 3-run double, stolen base. He was looking to maybe steal another one there. He was on the move on that 3-2 pitch. He was fouled back. Here comes the pitch. Runner not going, and that's inside, ball 4. So Faria, after hitting Wilson, has now walked the pinch hitter. Hanovis goes to first base. And getting ready to bat for the first time today will be Joey Bart. Bart saw action as a rookie last year for the Giants. It'll be determined here in a few weeks whether or not he ends up being on their opening day roster. The pitch, that's a liner that's caught by Rojas, the second baseman. Tried to get to the bag quick enough, but Wilson able to avoid being doubled up. Wasn't that far off the bag to begin with, and he hustles back to second. Had the runner been on the move, that would have been an inning-ending double play right there. So that's out number 2 in the inning. And Steven Duggar gets ready for his first at bat today. Made a nice running catch already out there in center field. Lefty batter Duggar at the plate. Faria is set. Here's his first pitch, and that one popped off the mitt again of Gratterall. He's had some trouble on some of these pitches from Faria, holding on to them. Steven Duggar was with the Giants last season. Just 21 games he appeared in, and he hit 176. It's a guy who can really run, and we saw him run down that drive in left center field off the bat of Ohtani. Bottom of last inning. There goes Wilson, the runner at second. There's a ground ball through into right center field. That's going to be an RBI hit. So they'll get a run, and they have them at the corners as Duggar drives in that runner from second, and that cuts the Angels lead to 5-4. So the inning isn't over yet. The Angels had a 2-0 lead in this game, fell behind, and took a 5-3 lead here into the 6th inning, and the lead has been sliced to a run. Base hit here would tie things up. Ruff is batting. He's gone all the way for them in this game. He's getting ready for his 4th at bat today. Pickoff toss over to first. Runner gets back to the bag. That's Duggar, who just got the RBI hit. Runners at first and third. Bit of a cloud cover now here in Tempe, and the pitch, that is a strike. Runner goes for second, and the throw is late. Ball popped off the mitt of Rojas trying to apply the tag. So the Giants very aggressive here in this inning. A couple of stolen bases. Now they have a pair of runners in scoring position. A hit could give them the lead. We'll see if Faria can pitch out of the trouble here. Here's the pitch, and that's a little bit up and in. 1 ball, 1 strike. Ruff today has a single and is 3 times up. Faria in some trouble. 2 outs. He can get out of it with an out here, and the pitch, that's low. 2 balls and 1 strike. Talked about Faria. SoCal native, went to Gar High School in Cerritos. That school producing a number of outstanding athletes. Baseball, football as well. Here's the pitch. That's inside. It misses. 3-1. Key moment in this ball game as the Angels try and hold on to this 1-run advantage. Faria is ready. Here's the next pitch. Chased and fouled back behind the plate, out of play. We'll do it again. In the inning, they've had only 1 hit, and that drove in the 1 run in the inning. But Faria has also walked a batter and hit a batter. So he's hurt his own cause here with some command issues out there on the mound. Darren Ruff, who had a nice year with the Giants after coming back from South Korea where he was playing. And there's a pitch that bounces away from Graterol, but no advancement by the lead runner. That's a break right there. That's going to end up being ball 4. And another walk, and now the bases are loaded. Matt Wise, the Angels interim pitching coach, going out to try and settle down Faria. Runners everywhere. Angels caught a little bit of a break on that ball 4, the pitch that got away from Graterol, because Hanovis, who's the lead runner, he's a big guy, he's a catcher, and not a whole lot of speed. Maybe had he been a little faster, they had a different runner there, they might have been able to score on that one. So it's still 5-4. The meeting at the mound is over, and here is Vosler getting ready to bat. He's 0 for 2 with a walk, couple strikeouts today. Here's the pitch, and he chases that one and misses it for strike 1. Seventh batter up in the inning. They've only scored 1 run, but they have them loaded, and a hit likely gives them the lead. Out, and Faria holds on to the lead. Next pitch. Did he go after that one on the check swing? No, says the umpire at third base. One ball, 1 strike. Vosler's had a pretty good spring with the Giants. 8 hits coming into this ball game this spring, and here's the next pitch, and he swings and fouls that one back. So Faria, who's had some control issues in this inning, hitting 1, walking 2, has to throw strikes with the bases loaded, and he's been able to do that. He's in front, 1 ball, 2 strikes here on Vosler. Jake Faria on a minor league deal with the Angels, non-roster invitee. He's ready. And here's the next pitch, and he got him. Chased one that was low and out of the strike zone. Fooled him there. Off-speed pitch. Struck him out, and that will end the inning. So they do get a run, but the Angels hold on to the lead, and we're headed to the bottom of the sixth. 5-4 Angels. Bases left loaded in the inning. We're headed to the bottom of the...
It's back, guys. Check.
Now batting for the Angels, number 66, Juan Graterol.
A lot of changes for the Giants as we go to the bottom of the sixth inning, and the first batter up for the Angels will be Juan Graterol. There's a new pitcher. Silvino Bracho will take over. So he replaces Junior Marte, who ended up pitching a scoreless inning against the Angels last inning, although he did pitch out of some trouble. And the first one on Graterol is batting for the first time is a ball. The count 1 ball, no strikes. Logan Wyatt is now playing first base for San Francisco. Jason Vosler, who was at first, is now over at third. Mauricio Dubon, who was playing shortstop, is now playing second. Marco Luciano is now the new shortstop as Graterol fouls that one off on the right side. 1 ball, 1 strike. And that looks like all the changes for the Giants at the moment. Angels with the 1-run lead. Batting here, bottom of the sixth. We're scheduled for 7, and there's a swing and a miss at that 1-2 pitch, and down on strikes goes Graterol. So his first at bat today ends in a strikeout. Jack Mayfield will be the next batter. This will be his first time up. He came in to take over for Jose Iglesias. The Angels shortstop went 0 for 2. Here's the pitch, and that one on Mayfield misses for ball 1. It's 1 ball, no strikes. Jose Rojas waiting on deck. He'll be batting for the first time today. Took over for David Fletcher. Next delivery, it's fouled straight back behind the plate.
Shortstop for San Francisco, number 94, Marco Luciano.
1 ball, 1 strike, the count. Bracho ready, and his next pitch lifted in the air into right center field, and that is a gapper. It's going to roll all the way out to the wall in right center field. Mayfield will make a stop at second, and he is there with a 1-out double. Gapper out there into right center. Ball hit sharply off the bat of Mayfield. Jose Rojas now getting ready to bat. Has a chance to drive in a runner. He's had a good spring for the Angels at the plate. Speaking of Rojas, let's see how he fares here against Bracho. First pitch, and that one misses a little bit low and inside for ball 1. It's 1 ball, no strikes. .500 batting average for Jose Rojas, and pair home runs so far this spring. Joe Madden has talked the last couple springs about Rojas. Joe never really knew much about him. and then coming over from the Cubs to manage the Angels, has been impressed with what he's seen. He said, all I see this guy do is get hits, plays with a lot of energy, seen his versatility, first base, third base, outfield, today playing some second base. Certainly on the radar screen now is Jose Rojas. Here's the 1-1 pitch. Swings at that one, fouls it off on the left side, backing out of play. So the count's 1-2. Mentioned the new shortstop in the game for the Giants, and he's probably the prized prospect in their organization, Marco Luciano. He is a teenager, as this one is chopped on the right side, stopped by the second baseman, and the flip will get Rojas over there at first base. So a 4-3 ground out over to Dubon, and moving over to third base will be Mayfield. Young shortstop Marco Luciano, only 19 years old. He'll turn 20 in September. And he is a possible star in the making for San Francisco. They have a good farm system now. Probably even a little better than good. Very good, I think, would be the most accurate way to describe their farm system. And here's Joe Adell at the plate. Brandon Marsh would be up next. He's in the on-deck circle, and the first pitch chased and missed by Adell as he bats out a Trout spot. First at bat of the day for Joe Adell. Trout was 1 for 3 today with a 2-run first inning homer. And here's the pitch, and that one misses outside for ball 1. One ball, one strike. Right-hander against right-hander. Adell swings and misses the next pitch, and he falls behind. It's now 1-2. Bracho's on the mound, was with the Diamondbacks last season. Also was a guy who was sidelined a year ago, tested positive for COVID-19. And he had some elbow issues, had surgery on his elbow a year ago as well. Ball chased and fouled off on the right side. It gets back and out of play. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Right-hander on the mound from Venezuela, facing the Angels today. Only pitched 1 inning last season in the big leagues for the Diamondbacks. Here's the pitch, and that's a swing and a miss. Chasing that one as Adell struck him out. Bracho, a guy who's always had a good changeup, and Adell a strikeout victim there, and that is how the inning will end. A couple strikeouts in the inning. So we've completed 6. We head to the final 7th inning. Top of the 7th is next. Angels trying to hold on to a 5-4 lead on the Angels Baseball Radio Network and Fox Sports West. Angels have a new battery, so the new pitcher is Kyle Keller, and the new Angel catcher is Anthony Mulrine. And so here we go to the final 7th inning. And here comes the pitch, and the first one on Dubon misses ball 1. It's 1-0. So Keller, who has had some ups and downs this spring, will try and get the save here in this ball game. He replaces Faria, who pitched out of a bases loaded jam last inning. There's a pitch in there for a strike. Faria ended up giving up the hit and a run earned in his 1 inning. He walked 2. hit a batter and struck out a batter. Here's the pitch. That's a little bit low and misses for a ball. Kyle Keller on the mound for the Angels, and the Angels have used a lot of pitchers today. Keller is the 7th one to see action in this game. 5-4 Angels in the 7th inning. Next pitch, and that one is lifted foul on the right side, backing out of play. Keller in 3 games, no wins, 1 loss. ERA is 10.80. He could get a save in this one for the Angels. The Giants have some action in their bullpen, so we'll see. We're kind of in this mode almost every game where what you think's going to happen doesn't always happen. If the Giants fail to score here, the Angels would in effect win the game. It's only scheduled to go 7, but sometimes you see the other team get at bats even though the game is technically over, and we'll see if the Angels do end up batting in the bottom of 7th. Angels would have to bat in the bottom of the 7th if the Giants tie it here, take the lead, and they've just got a leadoff walk to their first batter, Dubon. So Keller, who has struggled, is off to a little bit of a dicey start here, walking the first batter he faces. Angels have walked a lot of batters today. That's 9 in this game. Here's the pitch, and that's way outside. 1-0 is the count. Joe McCarthy, who's the batter, has been up once since coming into the game, and he ended up flying out. Here's the pitch, and that one is going to miss again. It's now 2 balls and no strikes. Here's the 2-0. That's in there for a called strike. It's interesting today. The first base coach for the Giants is Alyssa Nacken, and she was just talking to the base runner over there, Dubon, and she is the first female coach in Major League history. Her title is assistant coach. She's not their normal first base coach, but she's coaching over there right now. So something you don't see in baseball, but you're seeing it now, and why not? She's mentioning something to that base runner. Nice to see the female presence emerging to some degree around Major League Baseball. You have a female big league general manager now, Kim Ng, the GM of the Florida Marlins. There's some other female coaches now around baseball, not necessarily at the major league level, but coaching for some organizations in the minors. Three balls and 2 strikes the count. Keller continues the battle out there. Walked the leadoff man in the inning, needs a strike here in the 3-2, and that's a shot into right field, but it's hanging up, and making the catch on it is Jordan Adams. So although that ball was hit sharply, it's right near Adams, who makes the grab on it. That's the first out. And here is Luciano getting ready to bat. We were kind of touting him last inning when he took over at shortstop. He's batting for the first time, just 19 years old. And a very good looking prospect in the Giants system. Their best prospect by far. He swings and misses that pitch for strike 1. No balls and 1 strike. He's a good young prospect, and he has some good jewelry on too. That necklace he's wearing. Keller set. Here's the pitch, and that's right in there for a called strike. Tough to beat that bling around the neck of Luciano's just 19 years old. I remember when Mike Trout was playing with the Angels at the same age. There's a swing and a miss and a snap throw up the first base side. It's late, but the strikeout on Luciano, and that's the second out, so 2 are gone. Logan Wyatt will bat now. First time up for him. Swings from the left side. See if Keller can get the final out. Angels out away from closing out the Giants here, whether we have a bottom of the 7th or not. Keller is ready. And here's his pitch, and that's right in there for a called strike. Oh, and 1 is the count. Kyle Keller in 2 games a year ago for the Angels worked in relief in the pitch, and this is chopped on the left side right at the third baseman, and it's fielded there by Barreto. Throws to first base, and that is how the inning will end on the 5-3 ground out. So let's just keep it here right now. It would appear that we are going to play the bottom of the 7th inning. The Angels have won the game 5-4, but will still bat in the bottom of the 7th. So we'll take a break. Be back with more Angels baseball. Kind of a bonus half inning for you today on the Angels Baseball Radio Network and Fox Sports West. So a bonus half inning. We go to the bottom of the 7th. The Angels have won the game, and we'll see what the final score ends up being. Right now it's 5-4. Brandon Marsh will get ready to bat. He's hitting out of Shohei's spot. Ohtani today was 2 for 3 and hit the ball hard all 3 times up. First pitch on Marsh is in there. The new pitcher is Jimmy Sherfy, a former Diamondback, although he did not pitch last season in the COVID abbreviated season. Next pitch, and that one a pitch that's fouled off left of home plate, backing out of play. 0-2 the count on Marsh. Left-handed hitting Angels outfielder, one of the top prospects in the Angels organization, Brandon Marsh. He's gone 1 for 4 this spring. And the pitch, he takes that one, and that's in there for a strike. 0-2 the count. Sherfy replacing Bracho, who had a scoreless inning with a couple of strikeouts, did allow a hit last inning to the Angels. Here's the next pitch, and that one misses, ball 2. It's 2 balls and 2 strikes. As Sherfy works, it's pitcher number 5 of the day for San Francisco. Here's the delivery. Marsh swings at that one, fouls it off over on the left side. These spring training games are certainly interesting because you just never know how it's all going to play out. We're still playing the game, although we already have a winning, a losing pitcher, and we have a pitcher get a save, but the game's still going on. Here's the pitch, and that one is fouled off over by the Angel batter waiting on deck. Rojas over there. So battling is Marsh with the count, 2 balls and 2 strikes. Sherfy, a guy who has pitched a lot in the minors, nearly 100 saves in the minors. Here's the pitch, and that is a called third strike. That was a good off-speed pitch, and Marsh is out looking, no argument there. Franklin Barreto is the batter waiting on deck, who comes into bat now for Rendon. Took over for him at third base. First time up for Barreto, who's had a nice spring at the plate. Here's the pitch, and that one he takes a fastball, ball one ball, no strikes. Mentioned Sherfy, 7 seasons in the minors. A guy who in his minor league career averaging well over a strikeout an inning, and he's already struck out the first batter he's faced today. And there's a swing and a miss by Barreto. It's 1 ball, 1 strike. Angels today, 5 runs, 10 hits, no errors. Angels leaving 6 runners on base in this ball game. The Giants left a lot of people on base today as that pitch misses inside. It's like San Francisco stranding 11 today against Angel pitching. Angels pitchers today combining on a 6-hitter, even though the Giants ended up scoring 4 runs. But Angel pitching walking a lot of hitters today. 9 walks allowed in the game as that one's fouled off on the left side. Giants did not take advantage of situations today with runners on base and runners in scoring position. 2 for 11. So you don't produce when you have people on base, especially in scoring position. It's tough to win games. Sherfy is set. And here's his next pitch. Barreto swings at that one, fouls it off on the right side, backing out of play. Don't forget, tomorrow Angels and the Diamondbacks will be joined by Angels new general manager Perry Manassian. He'll be with us for the 2nd and 3rd innings tomorrow. We'll talk about the state of affairs as far as Angels baseball, what Perry has seen so far here in the Cactus League. Talk to him about his new position with the Angels as well. And there's a 2-2 pitch, chased and missed, and Barreto is a strikeout victim. So 2 are gone here in this bottom of the 7th. Couple of strikeouts. Matt Thaiss gets ready for his first at bat today. He's had a walk, or he came in after Justin Upton walked. He came in a pinch run for him. So he's been on base, but he hasn't officially batted until now. And the first pitch in there for a strike. 0-1 the count. And the next delivery, that one evens up the count. 1 ball, 1 strike. Attendance today a little over 2,000 here at Tempe Diablo. 2018 the official attendance today. And here's the pitch. That's waved at and missed off speed delivery, and Thaiss is deep in the hole. 1-2 the count. And here's the next pitch. He tried to hold up on that high fastball, went around, struck him out, and Sherfy ends up striking out the side here in this bonus half inning as the Angels go down 1-2-3. Final score today, Angels over the Giants in 7 innings by the final of 5-4. I want to thank you for joining us today. If you've been watching on Fox Sports West, Jose Mota and Patrick O'Neill will have a lot more post-game analysis. That's coming up in just seconds on Angels Live. And on the radio side, we'll have more for you, our post-game coverage on the Angels Baseball Radio Network. Again, the final today, Angels over the Giants 5-4. Thanks for joining us on the Angels Baseball Radio Network and Fox Sports West.
In the truck game.